In his campaign for Senate, U.S. Representative Bradley Byrne is learning what voters want their focus to be on, including cost of health care, prescription drugs, roads, and infrastructure.
Rural parts of this state, where you don't have the same infrastructure you do in other places, they need that infrastructure. They need broadband. We need to make sure we're preserving our rural hospitals. And then finally, national security, which I know is very important to this area. It's just very important that we continue to do the job that President Trump began 3 years ago, which is to continue to rebuild our military.
Byrne tells me that the new vertical lift will be a big thing for security.
The National Defense Authorization Act actually has provisions in there that will keep that moving, which would be very important to Fort Rucker. But let me say this, it's very important to the country. This is part of the bigger picture of how we defend America going forward. I see Fort Rucker playing a big role in a program that's very important to our defense of the country.
Possibly coming within the next week, the U.S. and China could be signing a new trade deal, and Byrne tells me that it's important to Alabama because of two things.
Number one, there's a lot of agricultural provisions in there. Agriculture is very important to our state. Number two, there's a lot in there about automotive. Automotive is very important to our state. I talked to Robert Lighthouser, who's the trade representative for the president, right before we voted on it, a couple of days before, and we went over what it was going to do for Alabama.
Byrne tells me that this agreement is not only a win for the state, but for the country. In Dothan, Sarah Drake, WDHN.